who am I? Okay, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as you guys know. And the universe, that's our tree of knowledge. Okay, we're getting everything downloaded into our consciousness from this tree. We have our teachers, our masters, gurus that we go to. You guys are here learning today from all of us. You know, I just talked to Joe here. I learned a lot from Joe in 10 minutes talking to him. He learned something from me yesterday. That's what we're here for. We're all here to learn. We're here to teach. Then we're here to teach and learn. If you guys ever read The Law of One, which is a great series, 4 books that they channeled in the 70s, it talks about that, 6-dimensional beings that came down here. And great series. So that's our journey in life. And it helps build our story of who we are, why we're here. We start getting these bits and pieces of our other lives too. Okay, because we're not just here in this 3rd-dimensional plane. We've been in other times. Okay. My philosophy about life is, why of life. That's what I call it. The why I'm here. Okay. I've had plenty of gurus, teachers, June Valo, Yogi Raj. I don't know if these names mean anything to you. Yogi Raj, Goodanath, Siddhanath, June Valo, Melchizedek, Dr. Fred Bell, who my buddy Rob is good friends with, both of us. William Bueller. That's what this story is really about, the Ark of the Covenant and who William Bueller was. Okay. This book here, I don't know if you guys have read it, but Mary had a guy named Peter Champeau here for a long time. Okay. He wrote this book, and the person who he wrote it with was William Bueller. It's all in here. Now, I spent some time learning with William Bueller. He was 84. He passed in, I think last year, okay, about a month after I got to meet him. The story goes like this. There was a girl from Wales that years ago I met when I was with Druval in Sedona. And about 10 years later, she kept telling me, Chad, there's this guy, I think he wants to meet you. He knows you're in Florida. And she kept telling me this for a year. And I didn't listen to her until one time I went to Colorado. I had to do some stuff with a guy, and I was like 2.5-hour drive away from Crestone, Colorado, where Bill Bueller lived. So I finally take the drive. I call up Edie, his girlfriend, said, I'm here. I heard Bill wants to meet me. Are you guys available? She said, yes. Just come on down. So I go there, and he starts teaching me a lot of these slides here. Okay. The next one is Bill Bueller right here. Okay. So there's Bill. So I sat down. I didn't know anything about him before. But he told me the reason I was there, he wanted to teach me a lot of things. And he said that he was a guy named Sinclair who built the Rosalind Chapel. Okay? And he's here in this life. He had 5 reprieves. He was supposed to pass on 5 times, but the masters gave him until he could perfect the teachings that he wanted to teach everybody. And after he built the Rosalind Chapel, he came over to the United States from Scotland, okay, to a place called Oak Island in Nova Scotia. You guys have heard of Oak Island. There's a lot of digging out there, and they're spending millions of dollars. They're trying to find gold. Okay, well, they're not going to find it. The gold is right here, with what I'm going to tell you. Okay. When he came over with 12 ships and 7 ships in the middle. The 12 ships supported him, and they were going to start a colony over here. They went to Nova Scotia first, and they put an etheric chamber there. And I'll get to that in a minute, what's in there. From there, they went to Westford, Mass. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of the Westford Knights. Okay? It's on this ley line that comes down from Stonehenge that goes towards Oak Island, Nova Scotia, comes down Route 20 through Boston, and then goes to Newport, Rhode Island, about 20 miles from where I live. And there's a reason I was there, I guess, and born in that area. Okay. Bill was working the West Coast, and I'll get to that in a minute. There's another ley line out there that is coming up from the royal point on the planet, which is 19.5 degrees. You guys know that volcano that was going off years ago, Kilauea in Hawaii? Well, every planet has a royal point at 19.5 degrees. Saturn, Venus, the Sun, okay? Royal, R-O-I-L. That's what I thought. I thought it was R-O-Y-A-L, but it isn't.
Isn't there a point where if you put a pyramid inside the sphere, the corners will be at 19.5?
Right, okay. So that is our planet's royal point. Now, on 9/11, what they did was they activated that royal point. Okay, what they did kind of worked against them. So the empathy went out, the volcano started going off, and another volcano went off, and that's the ring of fire on that side. Okay. So what happened there, he was working on that side, while we had a group of, I call it our tribe, Paul, well, one wasn't there last year, but a bunch of us working the energy grid on that side with that arc, okay? So, I wish I could get it bigger, but here's a picture right here. There's a volcano there. Bill Bueller is on the right, I'm on the left. That's him on the bottom, 84. And if you go to Newport, Rhode Island, you can see what the Newport Tower looked like in 1398 when he built it. It had a dome on it, and it was a very good point that goes out to Philadelphia. If you read this book, you'll understand more of the energy grids and how they go out, and how this United States and New England was started. Okay, my passion is just walking the path, teaching everybody what's going on. I talked about this before. We're all here to learn and share from each other. What I've done, I've gone to a lot of Hopi ceremonies. I met with the Mayan elders. The Mayans actually came up through Mexico, and they settled in Southwest. Okay, they're the Hopi Indians. Okay. And I learned from one of the Mayan elders. His name was Eric Bluebird, and he was the last of the Bluebird tribe. Him and his son Lance. Peruvian shamans in Peru. I've gone to Peru, Bolivia, a lot of the indigenous tribes. Juan lives, he works with the Ayahuasca Indians. He's got a moringa plantation down there. They live in the Sierra Nevadas. We've done ceremonies down there with them. There's the Newport Tower. If you climb the fence and you go in there, okay, again, this is on the ley line that they came over when they put the ark in. And if you go over the fence and go in it, first time I did it, they put a fence so people were taking the rocks out and bringing them home as souvenirs. You go in the middle, your heart, just like my heart right now, is thumping, okay? And you just go in there, you feel the energy, it's so intense, okay? And when we go there, we just do the ceremonies while we're on the East Coast. This is Bill Bueller's house, like view. I'm going to start talking about the Ark of On. Okay, this is a mountain called Challenger, right in Crestone, Colorado. And the reason Crestone is such a spiritual space now, everybody's going there, is because of this, the energy that's there. Years ago, they brought the Ark of On here, and eons ago, before they brought the Ark of the Covenant. The high priest couldn't work with the Ark of On. So they had to bring the Ark of the Covenant for the priests to work with in Atlantis, in Egypt. All right. Now, I'm getting all this from Bill. He told me the whole story. So they've been working with the Ark. The Ark went to Egypt. The Bible has another story about Moses bringing it through the desert and whatever. They went to Egypt first, and Ramses gave the ark to Moses, and then Moses did his thing. But the priests were working with that. After we've worked with the Ark of the Covenant, which is in Oak Island now, and there's a half an ark still left there, they put 3 Knights Templars in a state of suspended animation, and they're still there now, holding that gridline, believe it or not. Okay? And Bill told me they could try digging for gold and make as many movies as they want on the History Channel. Whatever they're doing, they're not going to find gold there. And they're not going to find the etheric chamber either, because what he and Edie would do every now and then, they worked with a lot of psychics too, but he would go out and they would just check on them, and they would just blink and say, they're okay. They're still holding the energy over there. And that's what controls all of North America. Okay. Now I'm going to get into telling you what happened with the Ark of On, okay? Because that is very important from what they did. We were talking about crop circles before. Well, before I get into that, there's one set up this presentation here for me, so now I gotta follow the pictures. William Bueller, here's the mountain called Challenger. William Bueller lives in Crestone on this side. Danae Harding here lives on the other side. And this is what we're working towards to get to. This is all what the Ascension's about. We're going to do a handshake between the Ark of On and the Ark of the Covenant pretty soon. Every year for the last 10 years, now Danae is a queen of Lemuria. 50,000 years ago, you guys have heard of Atlantis and Lemuria. I've been working with Danae for years. She works with the Ascended Masters, and her and her daughter got up every morning for 10 years. She was showing me. She had to watch Sirius rise in the sky. And she had to watch the procession, what happened, okay? And it's all to do with what's going to happen in the next few years. She's putting, see this pyramid here? She built that in the back. If you guys can see, inside the pyramid, there's a bunch of tuning forks. There's 12 of them. She put the 12 races back into harmony. She calls the pyramid harmony. And this is what a lot of us, Mary's been doing a lot here that nobody knows about. Like we talked about the Great Lakes and cleaning up the oceans. Danae's doing her job. Okay, all of us are putting the pieces together. That's why you guys are here today. You're learning what we're doing. You're going to be helping us, hopefully. It's part of the ascension process. She's at a Stargate in her backyard. You guys have seen those Black Hawk helicopters? Well, they blew it up once, and it puts out so much air. You can go to other dimensions. They blew it up once. It took her 2 years to rebuild it. This is the inside of her chamber. It's a big macabre that works on wheels. You can make one materially. Here's the inside of the pyramid with harmony. The pyramid called Harmony. Yes. Thank you. Here's Danae again on her wheel. She built all these pyramids here with all the crystals on her property. And this rod here would tell her when she was marking it, when Sirius would come up, and every degree it would move. And like I said, she's on that side with us, okay, running the line from east of Challenger in the United States. And Bill Bueller is in the west. The Ark of the Covenant, also known as the Ark of the Testimony. They call it the Ark of God. They said it was a gold and wood covered chest. It was in the book of Exodus. They talk about the 10 Commandments, the stone tablets. It was in the Hebrew Bible. And then they say it contained Aaron's rod and a pot of manna. Again, these are all theories that people talk about. In Hebrews, it describes the Ark of the Covenant was covered with all sides of gold, had a gold jar holding the manna, Aaron's rod budded, a lot of different theories. We're going to give you some of the theories. We're going to show you what they say the Ark looks like. I'm going to tell you what remote viewers think the Ark looks like. Okay? Because we've had remote viewers view Oak Island. Okay? Well, I might as well tell you about it now. One remote viewer, a pretty good guy. I didn't know him. You know what a remote viewer is, right? Just like Edgar Casey, you could lay there, you could go out of body, you could see things. You can all do it. We just lost this ability 5,000 years ago. So anyways, this remote viewer went to, not physically, but mentally, to Oak Island. And he says all he could see there was a sphere that was radiating. He didn't see any gold. He didn't see, an ark or whatever. That was his version of the ark. That's what's really there. And after dealing with Bill Bueller and what I've gone through these past few years and what I felt on that side and the work we've done, that's what's there, guys.
Where's Oak Island?
Oak Island is in Nova Scotia. Just Google Oak Island and you're going to come up with all these channels, history channels that they're digging for gold there because that's what they think is there. It's this big, they call it the money pit, the big chamber.
Interesting thing about that island is in that area, it's all pine trees,
All pine trees?
conifers, but this island is covered with oaks that had to have been brought there and planted for that purpose.
Right, and they say they found coconut fibers, coconut trees. And they think it's connected underground with underground tunnels. Oh, go back. Again, I'm giving you some theories on the Ark of the Covenant. All right, now we're going to get into synchronicity. If you come to the next talk, I think I'm talking at like 5:15. We didn't know what presentation was going first. The other presentation should have gone first because it talks about energy lines, grid lines, synchronic lines all over the earth. Okay, I'm going to talk about it here, but if you come to the next presentation, which should have been the first presentation, you'll understand it a lot better. You guys know what grid lines are, energy lines. Synchronic lines, there's 9 vertical and 9 horizontal on the planet. And there's only 2 places where the lines cross 4 times. One is in Tibet, and the other one is in a place called Damanhur, Italy. I don't know if you guys ever heard about Damanhur. Some people have. Okay. Well, there's a group. It started with about 13 people in Turin, Italy. Where the Shroud of Jesus is in the museum there. Years ago, about 40 years ago. And what they did was every week they would meet, talk about spiritual things, energy, whatever. And they decided they're going to put all their money together with this guy called Falco, is his first name, and moved about 45 minutes above Turin and start a community. And they were going to, Falco was from Atlantis years ago. He had all these visions. And they started digging in the rock. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't pull any permits. They dug down like, 7 stories in solid rock. You guys got to go there to see this. And he got all these visions from his life in Atlantis. And that's the place where these lines come together. And this energy there is just so potent. You wouldn't believe it. I was there in April and felt it. So, if you got a chance, go on Gaia TV, watch it. I can't get into that today, but that has a lot to do with what's happening with these lines on the planet and why we're going to these places to put energy into these grid lines. Just like one of these days, we're going to ask you guys to help us with the Ark of the Covenant lines and the Ark of On lines And we're gonna do, as Christian, we were talking about the other day, I mean, this kid, he rocks. He knows his stuff, right? And there's, around the planet, there's 21,600 miles, okay? We're almost there, okay? We got it as far as Dene in West Cliff, Colorado, and on William Bueller's side, where the Akavan is, actually Thoth brought the Akavan here years ago. It's on top of the mountain challenge, okay? So what we're gonna do is a handshake between these two energy lines, okay, where Dene is. And if you've got to drive around the mountain for 2.5 hours, if you could go from Bill Bueller's house to Dene's house, you could probably drive there in 45 minutes, but you'd have to go through the mountain to get there. And like I said, we're almost there. You can see some of the synchronic lines where they're located. All right, you can see Nova Scotia over here. Well, this is where the Ark traveled, okay? It was in Egypt. It was in the pyramids, the Giza pyramid. They talk about the sarcophagus that was in the pyramid. Well, guess what? It was the Ark. And then it traveled through to Jerusalem. Moses got a hold of it in Egypt, and then went to Jerusalem. And then it goes up, it goes to Scotland, where the Rosalind Chapel was, or is, it still is. And that's where Bill Bueller did his thing when he was was it William Sinclair or Henry Sinclair?
William Sinclair built the chapel.
Right, William Sinclair, okay. And his, it must have been Henry,
Henry was his grandfather.
Right, okay. So then they came over to Oak Island in Nova Scotia. Brought the Ark there, right? And again, if you can see, you got the 9 vertical lines coming down from the pole. And you got 9, see the, I don't know if you guys can see the blue ones, but they're A, B, C, D, E. And just numbered the vertical ones, 1 through 9. Again, I'm giving you guys bits and pieces, but you're going to put enough of the story together to understand why these lines are so important. The ET ships today travel the lines, okay? They follow the magnetics, and that's what they do. That's what you're going to do. This is all in our bodies. This is why we're going to put on our Merkabas, on our light bodies, and we're going to be able to do this. Ezekiel in the Bible, remember, he came down the wheel upon wheels and the chariot of fire. Well, that's you guys, okay? That's us when we understand how to do it, okay? And we're talking about having our tools to put on this, one and I call it the Ascension bus. We want people to come with us. You go to our YouTube channel, go to Ascension Bus, you're going to start following what we started doing March 21st, working with the Ascended Masters, working with Source. And, you know, I have a mission here on this planet. You know, I didn't think I'd be up here today talking to you guys about this stuff, but stuff just keeps coming here. They put it in front of you and you present it, do the best you can to understand it. I thought I was crazy when I started doing this stuff. Okay, so you can see the Ark when it was in the Giza pyramid. And then we have what our body does. Again, I have books here. I'm going to pass them around if you guys want to, because you can't really see this too well. When you learn the Hebrew letters and the frequencies and the vibrations, and then you saw what happened in John's pyramid. This is what we're going to do from our heart, just getting these vortexes going. It's not that hard once you understand how to do it. Okay, they got crop circles here. I'm going to get into the crop circle in a minute that is connected to the Akavan. And then you can see our body and how it works with all the vortexes we're going to turn. The Knights Templar, which is in Western Mass, picture of it. Here's all the Hebrew fire letters. You've heard of Leonardo da Vinci, the Vesuvian Man? That's in here somewhere. Again, it's all in our body. I'm going to pass this around. This is what I want everybody to see. If you can't see it in the slide, that's why this book's going to go around. And this is a crop circle. Juan, can you pass this around just so everybody can go through the book? All right. They started building temples, the Ark of Jerusalem, okay? And they all represent the temple in man. They're building these temples. If you can see, that's Jerusalem. The next slide here is the Temple Mount and how they built it. The head is over here. The feet are down here. Okay? This represents our bodies. Okay? There's a lot of books out there that explain all this stuff. You guys want to do a little studying. And there's gates in different areas. You can see how the body's laid out, how the temple's laid out. They have different porches, and that's why they call it the Temple of Man, because you are a temple. See Chartreuse Cathedral on the next one here, next slide, with the Ark. And then Rosslyn Chapel, where the Ark was in Scotland, and how it was laid out. It was laid out the same as Solomon's temple. Same exact layout. They all knew what they were doing back then. Same thing with the Knights Templars. They knew how it was in our body, how the temple was set up. And they tried explaining it through all when they held the sword that was there. You see all that in the books. And the Templars weren't just men. There were women Templars also. You see them on the right. In all different orders. All right, next we have the Newport Tower, which comes down from Nova Scotia, the ley line. And here is Westford, Mass. Here we're going from the Ark of the Covenant in Oak Island down through Westford, through to Newport. You can read all about this in those books. Okay, now I'm going to get away from the Ark of the Covenant now and go back, skip around here. What Bill Bueller explained to me, I told you that the priest couldn't work with the Ark of On until Thoth brought it here recently, because we're ready for it now. We're ready for the power that it harnesses. So when that energy line opened up on 9/11 and that volcano started going off, that line goes from that volcano in Hawaii to that Royal Point to a place called Point Lobos, where they put a crop circle. And you see this crop circle? They did this December 28th, 2013. Okay, our brothers and sisters are the ETs helping us, because we're just hot, they genetically modified us and made us, we're genetic royalty. We're a cross between 22 different races. Right? So they're watching over us and hoping we're going to get this for this ascension and ascent. So what they did, if you see that crop circle in the book, look at it, okay? It's a computer chip, okay? It activated all the computers at the beginning of 2014. So it went from that Royal Point to Los Lobos, Point Lobos in California, to the Ark of On, which is in Challenger. Okay, and that's why it was so important. If you know Bill Bueller's background, when he was in the service, he was a what do they call it, admiral or a commodore or something. But he was very psychic. He was gifted. They put him in Hawaii, and he was right there near that Royal Point doing work in the 40s. Okay. Then when he retired, he moved to Crestone for this reason also, to be near the Ark and work that part of the globe. All right, so it activated 2014 when it went into every computer chip, every computer there is on this planet. Okay? You guys don't know it, but that's what happened. All right, and the next phase of human evolution is to learn how to do this, how to do Armakaba and why these pyramids are so important. Again, that's all in those books. There's the Vesuvian man there, Leonardo da Vinci. He knew back then. Here's all the Hebrew, we call it fire letters. I have friends right now, and a lot of these guys know me. Go online to probablefutures.com. They teach all the CIA, KGB, Mossad. They teach them remote viewing. And the other thing that some of them do on the side is they do healing. They're working for the government, but they're helping the planet. Nobody knows what they do. I've seen like 6 people raised from the dead before. They do, you get together with me later, I'll show you pictures of some of the healings these guys do. And they just do it on the side as, you know, helping humanity out.
With frequencies, with devices?
No. I'll give you one example. One of our students, he works for the NSA now, he's the head remote viewer. And there's this girl that, and the reason I'm going to explain this whole thing is how he does it by learning, he learned the Hebrew fire letters. It all comes out of our heart. Okay, if you learn what's in the heart, every letter comes out, the alpha, the bet, the gamma, okay? And you start learning how to use it, okay, vibrate those letters, okay? So there was this girl that worked for these laser doctors, you know, all women want all laser surgery and whatever. Well, she got a deal on it because she worked for these doctors in a hospital. And they made a mistake and they burnt her face, okay, really, really bad. Okay? She didn't know what to do. The doctors didn't know what to do. Okay? So they found, I'm not going to mention his name, but they found him and knew what he did because people talk. People find me and they find us because, you know, word gets around. And what he did, he went to the Serpent Mound. You've heard of the Serpent Mound? Okay, well, the energy's still there from
The one in Ohio?
one in Ohio, right? And he's at Fort Meade now in Virginia, working over there. So he and his wife took a ride, got some dirt from the Serpent Mound. And he uses that dirt. He asked for permission to take the dirt, the soil, because of its energy properties, okay? So this girl asked him, I mean, I could show you pictures and I have everything in text of what she looked like before and what she looked like a month later, okay? And he started working. She gave him permission to work on it, okay? And you can see the results a month later and they're going back and forth. And she's totally healed now, right? But this is how it works. And I said to Brendan, what did you do? He says, well, I just went up, I became one with the Father. I worked the letters, I worked the vowels, okay? And that's just one example of a healing that you guys can do.
What about the dirt?
Well, I don't know if he got rid of it, but he might still be using it.
What does that have to do with her skin?
Nothing, but he used that dirt, the vibration of it. He just needed that vibration for the healing. Right, like using crystals. Right. Because he said it's a very, very powerful energy point on the planet. And the energy's still there. When you're talking about the difference between the intelligence people, individuals you're talking about, the good ones and the bad ones?
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, they just don't know enough yet. They haven't learned, they don't have, I don't want to say the intelligence, but the heart. They're still working on the material side. Right? But guys, we're living in a duality right now. That's the problem. Until we can all become one and just realize that there is only one, okay, and put the male and female together and learn. They're still working on their masculine side. But what happened over the last 26,000 years, this is a 26,000 year cycle. Here's the sun and we're circling like this, a spiral around it, okay? And everything happens in cycles. Everybody said the Mayan calendar was going to end. I'm getting off the subject a little bit, but was going to end in 2012. Okay. Well, the world wasn't going to end. The masculine was going to end. The divine feminine took over. Right? And that's what we're going into, the 1,000 golden years. Okay? But we're still learning. It's not like a snap that we're going to be there. We're learning from you guys. We need the divine feminine. We need you guys to help us, to teach us. Okay? Did that answer your question, kind of? Okay, yeah. We
And
gotta
for
get it,
questions, just ask for the mic.
yeah, just ask for the mic. We gotta get out of that duality of consciousness. I'll get back into the ark thing. Okay, we've got a lot has to do with prophecy that's happened all through the ages. Okay, and we have these, the Oracle of Delphi, which is in Greece. You know, a lot of this stuff was prophecy 6,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. In the Bible, they talk about Obama in the Bible. In the Bible, you ever hear of the abomination of desolation? Well, guess what? Obama desolated this nation. That was prophecy. But then it was also prophecy that when the last trumpet sounds, when the last trumpets sounds, that prophecy, that's here too, guys. We're there. But we need the chaos before we can have the organization. We're getting there. Just like Mary talked about, all the pedophiles, all the church, it's happening.
The old system has to be destroyed.
Yes, it has to be destroyed first. So, and we're doing it. And the energy that we're going to put together, because we couldn't work with this energy, just like the high priest couldn't take the Ark of On before. Okay? And then, even with the Ark of the Covenant, the reason Ramses gave it to Moses, okay, talk to Juan after, he'll tell you the whole story. There's a lot more to this story than you guys know. So, the reason Moses gave it to Ramses is because the priests were abusing the power in Egypt with the Ark of the Covenant. And we had to take it for the better. It's a few thousand years later, but we got it in our hands again. The masters have been working for a long time, helping us.